Welcome to the wonderful world of dance, bringing you exclusive interviews with top dancers and choreographers and reviews of the world's best companies across the globe. You can find lots more on our website at thewonderfulworldofdance.com.
Hi, this is Savannah Saunders, and today I'm excited to be talking with Katy Arnander, the Director of Artistic Program at London's acclaimed dance house, Sadler's Wells. Today we'll be talking about their partnership with Latitude Festival, where Sadler's Wells takes dance out of the theatre and to the music festival nonetheless. Katy is responsible for the incredibly diverse dance program that ranges from classical ballet by the English National Ballet on the one hand to contemporary dance from a talented group of associate artists through to flamenco, hiphop and experimental dance plus more. Thanks for joining us, Katy.
Hello. Good morning.
Thank you. Firstly, I wanted to ask you, you've been in your role as the Director of Artistic Program at Sadler's Wells for the last 6 years. Tell us about your role. What does it mean to be the Director of Artistic Program?
Well, I suppose it's an incredibly varied role because here at Sadler's Wells we present such a sort of vibrant and eclectic year-round program of dance. So that could be anything from hip-hop to flamenco to contemporary, cutting-edge contemporary dance, of course, ballet and Bollywood. So I think a lot of the role really is to sort of keep my eyes and ears open really for the best quality work that we see, me and my colleagues, out there that we think would be good to present here at Sadler's Wells, either at Sadler's Wells, our main theatre, or at our studio theatre, the Lillian Baylis Studio, or indeed our West End venue, the Peacock Theatre. So,
sorry, keep going.
Carry on. Yeah, so the role is very varied because it's finding, commissioning work, producing original work, and of course finding existing work and productions that we might want to bring and show to our audiences here in London.
And tell us about your artistic vision for Sadler's Wells that influences the programming that you do.
I think one of the things that we're very kind of dedicated to is to make sure that we present a varied program that reflects the breadth of dance and also is the best quality and is accessible to various different audiences. We're very passionate about making dance accessible and ensuring that it's well represented and diverse in all of its forms. And that really forms the core of our programming mission, if you like. We also want to challenge audiences sometimes about the way how dance can be interpreted, or even challenge the way dance is made, and indeed how the public can indeed increase its appetite for dance, whether participating or just watching.
And the partnership with the Latitude Festival sounds as though it is part of that drive to increase the audience participation and appetite for dance. Tell us about Sadler's Wells' partnership with the festival.
Yeah, it's a partnership that we greatly enjoy. We've now been going to Latitude 10 years. This year will be our 10th year, and Latitude's only 12 years old, so we've pretty much been there from the start. And Latitude Festival is essentially a mixed arts festival, so it does have a very strong music component, but they were one of the early festivals that also had comedy, theatre, literature, poetry, and added to that kind of multi-arts mix. They were always very dedicated to presenting dance. And so quite early on, we worked with them to curate their dance program. They've actually got a wonderful stage which floats on a lake called the Waterfront Stage. So that's where we curate the dance. That's where we present the dance that we bring. And I think, as you said, getting dance out to new audiences, which means they're not necessarily seeing it in a theatre, is something that we feel is really important. So we take dance out of the theatre in order to introduce it, or for those that already know it, to have a chance to increase their breadth of the type of dance that we offer.
And at the Waterfront Stage this year, tell us about the lineup. I hear it's quite exciting.
Oh yeah, we're really excited this year, and it's a good lineup because it essentially reflects the mix of work that we present. So we've got Matthew Bourne and his company New Adventures. They're long-standing collaborators here and come every year here to Sadler's Wells. So we're presenting. They'll be presenting on the stage. and they'll be giving some post-show classes. This is another thing that we often do, which is exciting also for the audiences. Ballet Boys will be there with their new work, Life. We'll be presenting the BBC Young Dancer, which is in its second year now. It's every 2 years where young dancers are selected from around the country, and the finalists will be performing at the Latitude Festival. So that's very exciting because we don't know who the finalists are yet. We're doing a sort of an evening called the Get Down, which is co-curated with our hip-hop company, Breaking Convention. And the Get Down is going to be featuring Boy Blue Entertainment and various other musicians and DJs. We're presenting National Youth Dance Company, which is the national company that we run here at Sadler as Wells, which is now also in its fourth year. A group of 16 to 19-year-olds coming together in a year to create a new original piece of work. So they'll be presenting that new piece of work by Damien Jallet at the stage. And interspersed with that are various workshops and classes. So it's a very eclectic mix. Oh, I forgot to mention also Sisters Grimm.
Yes.
Are a pair of female, a couple of female producers who put together an incredible show called Voices of the Amazon, which is essentially inspired by the Amazon River and the ecology of it, and they have it's a new work, and it's an enchanting new work really that features great Brazilian music, and of course, as well as contemporary ballet language and choreography, also Brazilian elements like capoeira and things like that. So that's quite an exciting and new piece of work as well.
So it's such a diverse sort of range of dance. We've got hip hop, we've got contemporary, we've got some ballet, we've got all different types of dance. And I'm so excited to hear the Sisters Grimm are going to be on Waterfront. I saw their production in Nala, which was just amazing. So I'm really excited to see their new work, Voices of the Amazon. Tell us about your process for creating a program, either for the Latitude Festival or for a year-round program for Sadler as Wells.
Yeah, I think our kind of inspiration for the program comes from a couple of sources, I suppose, a couple of key kind of strategies, if you like. So the first thing is that we like to present work from many dance styles. So we have a lot of inspiration from different dance styles. So we will go out and find tango work, flamenco work, the best of those genres, or the developing and emerging choreographers and artists from those genres. But also we have 16 associate artists who we work closely with, so we'll always work very closely with them, presenting and co-commissioning their new work here at Sadler as Wells. And then sometimes we like to kind of create work, if you like, that's kind of, how can I say it, sort of groundbreaking work, whereby we might match a contemporary choreographer with someone that we know in the tango world, and together they might create a new piece. So for an interesting example of that is Sidi Labi Chakawe's work Milonga, which is coming back here in May actually, where he worked with tango. He's a contemporary choreographer working with tango dancers to create a sort of fresh perspective on tango. So it's that sort of game-changing productions, I suppose, that's quite provides us with a source of new material. And then on other times we might reflect or we might respond to a moment in dance history or a regional frame. So for example, last year we took inspiration from a geographical region which inspired our season Out of Asia. So in the autumn we presented Yang Li Ping, Cloudgate, Tao dance company from Taiwan. So I think it's those sorts of moments give us inspiration as well. So yes, I suppose all of those, and then and then at the Peacock Theatre we think very much about what's the work that's enjoyable and accessible and more of a West End sort of piece of work. So we might put some big hip hop productions down there, or that's where we might have Bollywood shows. And then in our studio space, in the Lillian Bayless studio, that's where we really like to introduce new and emerging choreographic talent, particularly from Europe, thought-provoking work, challenging work, but contemporary dance at its cutting edge as well.
And how do you sort of touched on this, but finding that balance between entertaining and educating audiences, between giving them what they love and taking them beyond their comfort zones. I mean, every time I go to Sadler's Wells, the audience is so very diverse for all the different shows. But how do you balance that between, as I say, giving them what they love and showing them something new?
I think we work really closely with the audiences, and we're very our whole sort of marketing of our new and existing audiences is always encouraging those that have already come to see some of our shows to sort of give them a sense of what other work they might like that's similar, which they might then want to go on and see. So it's really, I think the diversity of the work we have going on in any one week also helps that, because we have such a busy and broad program that we have very clear kind of audiences who tend to go for certain kind of work, but the fact that we're presenting all of it at the same time, and we have schemes whereby by becoming a friend there are great discounts, great opportunities to go and see some shows and get a discount on others. So we're always trying to sort of increase ways that new audiences can come in. And we have a very proactive and busy learning and engagement department who work closely with local community groups, local families, housing associations, and of course schools. And they're always out encouraging those groups with various schemes we have to come into the theatre, sometimes some of them for the first time, to just experience what dance might be like. We also have quite interesting festivals, particularly the Sampled Festival we have every year, where it's kind of like a taster session of dance. So it's very, very good value. You can get a ticket for as cheap as £8, and you can come in and have a full evening of dance on the stage that has a bit of everything in it. So and mixed up with films and front of house activity, some live performances. That's a kind of great taster to again introduce people to dance who might not have seen much before.
And for the landscape of dance, what do you see the future of dance in London and across the UK? You've talked about the diversity. How have audiences perhaps changed over the years, and how is this influencing perhaps the future of dance? Do you see a change coming?
Well, to be honest, I think our program or dance, needs to reflect current and popular culture. I mean, we're the artists we work with are responding to the culture in which they live, and I think there is a place for the old classics, like some of those more traditional ballet pieces, which are reflections of their time. But certainly around a lot of the program that we present, we think that reflection of current culture, is often the case. I mean, we do need to remain true to the art form, but for choreographers and makers, they themselves might find inspiration from different sources. I mean, that could be political or social or fashion, or indeed sometimes just quite abstract themes. So I think the makers are in a very healthy place. I think technology is changing it enormously.
Absolutely.
Dance was obviously all about bodies before. Now it's about bodies, and a large amount. Many makers are using a lot of technologies to make their pieces, which changes the interaction that the audience has with the piece as well. I think that will just continue to grow as technology grows. I think the way dance is made is different now because of social media, things like Snapchat and YouTube. Yeah, people are makers and performers are creating and uploading their work in quite short form, quite short pieces, because that's what that audience that uses those networks watches. There'll still be a place for the full length piece in the theatrical setting, but I think there'll be, in the old days that was the only way to see dance. I think now it's just amazing how broad it can impact. I mean, if we look at the success of dance on television, even, that's TV shows. So I think we should assume that dance really cuts across all society at every level. I think one thing that's really exciting for us about the dance ecology, if you like, is that increasingly people are talking about the participatory benefits of dance, and that's something that we've always been very passionate about, which is we know that dance is up there with sport in terms of health and well-being, in terms of keeping fit, increasing life expectancy, confidence. So we run groups for older dancers. We run groups for people who might not normally come into dance. It's something that we're investing a lot more time and thought into, because dance in itself is taking part is very impactful, I think, for society.
Absolutely, and I think it's such an amazing array of services and shows that Sadler's Wells produces, presents, and encourages people to participate in. I personally think it's one of the best dance houses in the UK, if not around the world. I wanted to ask you about, as the Director of Artistic Program, what has been your greatest challenge, or some of the greatest challenges that you face in creating your annual program, or just in your role in general?
I think we do face challenges of funding, as everybody does in the subsidised performing arts. I think mostly because dance is quite expensive to make.
Yeah.
It's not like theatre where rehearsals can take place in sort of any space, and often it's smaller in number of people on stage. And a lot of dance involves a lot of bodies on stage. Also, it needs quite a lot of rehearsal time in specific conditions, heated studios, sprung floor, that sort of thing. So I think for artists and makers, they themselves have challenges for funding, to find the money in order to create the new work. We very much try and support them through our various artist development programs that we run here. So I think that's a challenge. Otherwise, I think actually it's growing in popularity.
Yes.
I think it's a growing art form for the reasons that we've been talking about. Not only the eclectic mix for the audiences, but also the impact on people's actual lives when they participate. So I'd say funding is probably one of the biggest challenges. I mean, another, if you like, organisational challenge we've had is that there isn't really any good 500 to 600 seater theatre here in London where we're based to bring in mid-scale work, and that's something that we're very excited about, because we're part of the development out in Stratford, part of the cultural education district out in the Queen Elizabeth Olympic Park, and we're hoping that in 5 or 6 years we will be opening a new theatre out there, which will be 500 to 600 seats. So for us, that plugs one of the challenges we had, which was having a suitable space for work for companies that are sort of not enormous but bigger than small scale. So that's an opportunity for us, as well as a challenge, but it's exciting.
Yeah, it sounds very exciting. One of the challenges that I've been hearing a bit about recently, and there's been a lot of discussion about this, is about the female voice in dance and in the dance world, and in particular the challenges facing female choreographers in the UK in terms of getting funding and commissioned for new works. What is your view about the role of women in creating and showing new work?
Well, it's something that we talk about a lot. We feel very passionate about. We've been involved in various sort of think tank groups. Last year there was a group of arts organisations that came together, run by Tonic Theatre, to look at the role of women in the creative arts, performing arts. And actually, when we undertook that exercise last year, we, as an organisation, committed that we would make sure that female choreographers particularly had our full support and active, if you like, involvement. And I think we're doing that in a number of ways, which was we're definitively, we have a program called New Wave Associates, and those are the kind of up and coming choreographers, and they're not right at the beginning of their career, they're sort of mid-career, who we support and nurture and give support to. And so we're absolutely committed that we have a certain number of women on that. We've set ourselves targets, actually, that we have a set amount of women on our various different programs. And we're just always mindful, we put it top of mind. I think there are lots of challenges facing female artists and female choreographers, which are societal challenges, which go back to education, go back to childhood, go back to confidence. Obviously, for women, the big one is taking time out to have children. which could be said for many careers, couldn't it?
Yes.
And what happens when you're out of the market, if you like, for 2, 3, 4 years, depending on if you're taking time out on those early child rearing days. So we're trying also to be really mindful of that group of choreographers, what sort of needs a woman with a family might have around making work and things like that. So by putting it top of our minds, and we have it there now all the time, we're doing what we can to ensure that we're kind of always positively aware of what difference we can make to improve the opportunities for female choreographers.
That sounds absolutely fantastic. And Katy, finally, you hold perhaps one of the most important and influential roles in the arts and dance world in the UK. What advice would you give to other women aspiring to become dance programmers or producers?
I suppose in terms of finding, if you're a producer, finding work in this sector, it's like any of the performing arts in a way. You just got to get in and start. As a producer, you can get in and start and work with an artist or a choreographer that you want to work with, and there's a lot of networking to be done. There's the usual funding bodies like the Arts Council. I think if you're looking to work in this field, in the kind of arts management side of it, what's key is to be passionate about what you're working in and to go and see as much as possible and try and grab opportunities when they come up in theatres, in companies, and that might be working in places that aren't obviously programming. So you might start by working in a place that could be front of house or an usher or working in the cafe, but all of that gives you access and exposure to how a performing arts organisation works. So that's sort of one way in if you wanted to work in the kind of management side of it. And as artists and producers, I'd just say, just keep at it. Look for partnerships all the time. Try and leverage relationships that you might have with other venues or with other artists or with any funding bodies you're close to. It's hard being creative, but the idea is to try and find some creative solutions wherever possible.
Absolutely. Well, that's great advice, and I just want to thank you so much for joining us today, and I can't wait to come to Latitude this year and check out Sadler's Wells stage at Waterfront. And for listeners, if you want to get your tickets to Latitude, which runs from the 13th to the 16th of July, you can visit latitudefestival.com, and of course check out all of Sadler's amazing works coming up at sadlerswells.com. And you can also follow them on their social networks as well. Thank you so much, Katy.
Don't forget to subscribe. We've got some incredible interviews coming up with principal ballerinas and renowned choreographers. We love dance and ballet, and we hope you'll love us. Join us on Facebook and Twitter.